So I just saw Coronavirus, the sequel to the movie Contagion from 2011, and unfortunately it wasn't as good as the original. In fact, it was pretty bad. It had a strong start, with those British tourists in China using bats as sex toys. That was really unexpected, but it left me curious and wondering what would happen next. And following the initial outbreak, with the Chinese Communist government trying to suppress information that a virus was on the loose, was very well done. Everything felt real and authentic, nothing was over the top. But then the film lost me a bit when it started coming up with excuses for why Western countries weren't taking it as seriously. Australia having major fires and the United States using their drones to kill someone in the Middle East are plausible events. I can definitely see that happening in real life, because it does. But the fact that they happened simultaneously was a bit too melodramatic to take in. Some of the characters even thought that a world war would ensue because the United States took out that Iranian general. And by that point the movie lost me completely. It went from being a pandemic movie to basically outdoing that 2012 film we had a few years ago. While Contagion just tried to tell a realistic story about how the world will react to a global pandemic, this movie seemed more concerned with spectacle and drama. So many things happened throughout the plot that were just too dumb to take seriously, like how people in Australia, after the fires, started stocking up on toilet paper, and then this becoming a trend worldwide. And this wasn't a virus that caused diarrhea or made people bleed from their asses. The only explanation they offered is that a rumor appeared online saying that since Australia imported all of its toilet paper from China, there would be a shortage of it in the following weeks. And despite this information being refuted by the authorities in the film, people still bought tons and tons of toilet paper. It was a bit stupid, honestly, but it doesn't even come close to the rest of the United States storyline. It seems the writers thought there wasn't enough drama already, so they decided to add that a pandemic could occur during an election year. And we have the US president making dumb statements like the virus being a hoax popularized by the other side of the aisle. And that's fine, politicians make up shit all the time, that's their job. But then things became really goofy when the guy went from saying that things would be fine to saying that he knew it was a pandemic all along before it was declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization.
This is a pandemic. I felt it was a pandemic long before it was called a pandemic. All you had to do is look at other countries. Handled very well. We've already handled it very well. You know, a lot of people think that goes away in April with the heat, as the heat comes in. Typically that will go away in April. We're in great shape though. And we've lost nobody. And you wonder, the press is in hysteria mode. Today, the World Health Organization officially announced that this is a global pandemic. China.
And afterwards he dodges any responsibility for the outbreak in the United States, the same way a 12-year-old would hide the fact that he broke the window.
No, I don't take responsibility at all, because we were given a set of circumstances. I felt it was a pandemic long before it was called a pandemic.
I'm sorry, that was just too fucking dumb to swallow. How the hell was this guy elected in the first place? Was the other candidate Charles Manson or someone similar? America would never have such a cartoony and ridiculous person as their president. And despite all of this, the film kept hammering on the stupidity of its characters worldwide. At the same time the north of Italy was being ravished by the disease, people in Portugal decided to storm the beaches. And in France, they thought it was a good idea to try and break the world record for most people dressed up as Smurfs. If you thought the final season of Game of Thrones was a bunch of bullshit glued together, you weren't even prepared for the first 20 minutes of Coronavirus. The plot just kept on getting dumber and more absurd as it went along. An earthquake in Croatia while the whole country was in a quarantine, locusts in Africa and the Middle East, as if the virus and all their other problems weren't enough. I honestly don't understand how something written by Stephen King and George R. Martin could be this much of a mess. And I have yet to talk about the finale. People in the movie theater were laughing at it. It was that much of a joke. Turns out the string of the virus mutated in Madrid and began transforming the infected people into zombie-like creatures, like from The Last of Us. And since that wasn't enough for this film, why not have China entering another civil war, and the USA, alongside with North America, being wiped out by the exact same explosion as the one from 2012. This movie was fucking crazy. It was convoluted and contrived to the point where they need to come up with a new word for it. Coronavirus is just one of those sequels that tries to be bigger and better than the original and falls flat on its face. I'm giving Coronavirus a 3 out of 10. Because although the plot didn't make any sense, I did enjoy some of the stupidity of the characters, and it wasn't that badly directed, which was a surprise, given that M. Night Shyamalan hasn't done anything entertaining in years. Check this out if you're interested in disaster movies, otherwise watch something else. Anyway, see you next time. Have a happy Wednesday, everyone. There's nothing special about this day whatsoever. Bye bye!